All right, episode 50. We're going to talk about your ROI and controlling expenses. Look, you're selling a lot, but are you profitable? Today, we'll talk about running a lean machine to enhance your bottom line without sacrificing service. We're going to go ahead and get started right now.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
What's up?
I'm trying to connect to the internet so I can see the feed on my phone. We moved up to the new studio, and now I don't have the network. I got it. Boom.
We're up and running.
Thank you.
Episode 50.
What?
Nice.
That's cool.
On your birthday, Kelderman.
It is my birthday.
Yeah.
I am 41 years of aged today.
41 years.
Yes. I'm 41 years old, bro.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about 41 years old. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
What'd you think it was going to be?
A lot worse.
I honestly thought I would feel a lot older. In here, I don't feel 41 at all. 20-year-old me would be all right with 41-year-old me.
That's always the thing, right? We never really feel as old as we are.
I hope that's the thing.
Like, I'm super surprised when I go rent a car, and they're just like, all right, here's the keys. Like, I'm just like, are you sure? Like, there's no way you're just going to let me take it.
Do you think 60-year-old Kelderman will still be having the same thoughts that 20-year-old Kelderman had?
Thoughts? I don't know if he'll have the same thoughts. I think he's
Like,
be
the same
equally
rationality.
stupid in new and frustrating ways.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like after, like 28, you just kind of like are who you are.
I would probably venture to say
I would
that,
say-
right?
I could not disagree with you two more. I
Really?
hope that after 28, I can still change. How boring would it be if at 28
So,
I was the same person?
Keller Williams
That's
used
fair.
to have this kind of profile test called the AVA. Do you remember the AVA?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And so they talked about between 25 and 30, your AVA actually, that's your style, your personality style actually changes.
Changes,
It's
yeah.
not really set in stone until they say
My
really
disc
30.
changed too, yeah.
So like I took my AVA when I was going through my divorce, and it picked up that I was going through some conflict
That
in
was
my
how
life
my
at
disc
that time.
changed, yep.
And I'm like, interesting. So I would almost, if they still had it in place, I'd like to do it again just to see where the changes are.
I want to take that. I want to take the Wonderlic too. I always hear about NFL players taking the Wonderlic, and I don't know how to get my hands on one of those.
What if you scored lower than Vince Young?
What if I scored lower than Frank Gore?
I had to
I
Is
would
that
say
just-
lower
that-
than Vince Young? Because
4. Frank Gore got. Who was the lowest?
I thought it was.
Oh, dude, I have no idea. It's in single digits, though. I know that.
No,
Derek,
Frank
look that
Gore.
up.
No.
Right.
One of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Tell me this, Brandon. It's a Cowboys DB. It's either Brandon Carr or somebody. Can you please Google this? One of the Cowboys defensive backs is at least tied for the lowest
We're
Wonderlic
bothering these
score
guys. We got Macy
with
right
a
here for the
4.
exact-
Yeah,
Macy-
Macy, you look it up too.
the
Nobody knows.
Wonderlic score, NFL Wonderlic score. Just Google lowest NFL Wonderlic score. Read off like the first 5 names. Guarantee you one of them is a Cowboys defensive back.
The greatest thing about this is Brian doesn't realize the mic in front of his face feeds right into Derek's ear. So he's yelling at him because he's in a different room, not because he needs to yell at him. So the Wonderlic, I worked at a restaurant that on your second interview of 3, Houston's and Hillstone, if
Yeah.
you guys aren't familiar, like they're for real. At least
Yeah.
they were in 2003.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
I
they
had to take the
still are.
Wonderlic. And I can't remember what I got on it.
Really?
Yeah, but you had to take, I'm
Were
sure
you
there's
happy with
different
it?
versions of that. Yeah, but I mean, like,
You got the job.
I barely graduated high school, so pretty much the fact that I just got a job, I was pretty stoked about. So I took the Wonderlic.
I've always just curious about stuff like
Yeah.
that. I want to take that stuff.
So, comment if you can hear Brian's medallions
Yes.
clanging
Yeah.
together
I
like
was
the
on
chimes
Twitter.
on my grandfather's
Yeah,
horse.
I'm
just
just
such
tell
a
you right
winner.
now, I'm going to comment right back. I don't care if you hear them or not. I'm wearing these things all day. I'm going to show you. Derek, close up. You can't do close ups. Millionaire agent. I got this today. I'm so excited. I've never gotten a piece of metal that says I've made $1 million. In your face. I love it.
So you made $1 million. You're selling a lot. But before we even talk about
But
that,
now we got to talk expenses.
yeah, let's talk. Are you netting it? But even before that, go to our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, where you can join our group, share your real estate thoughts, fun stuff, experiences. If you just want to share some
whatever
bad
it
text
is.
messages,
Sure.
Just don't share any open houses or CRM talk. in there, please, because we remove a lot of fucking
We ban you.
open houses and price reductions and everything else.
I know
in there.
people don't always do it on purpose. I just feel like there's just the people that blanket every group or
It's
something.
just real. It's just a realtor PSA.
It's
man.
just like
we all know the rules.
New listing in Michigan.
And
It's
look-
like what's a national group? So it's
Yeah.
just irrelevant.
Look, and if you want to take 10 plus listings every month like we do, we took 136 or 137 listings last year. So far, year to date, and it is February 12th, Kelderman's birthday.
Me and
We are
Abe
at-
Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
You
We are
have, you have
20
Abe Lincoln's birthday?
Yep. Every single book report I did until like 8th grade was on Abe Lincoln.
So Kelderman and Abe Lincoln's birthday, and we've
He's like,
taken
before I get into the book, let me
26
mention we have the same birthday.
26 listings year to date. So if you're wanting to take more listings, go over to touracademy.com/take10. Sign up for our free webinar. You're going to learn all the tips, tricks, the lead gen strategies that we're doing to take as many listings as we are, and that is growing. So go over there, sign up. You'll be prompted to join Tour Academy for $1 hair. And at least next week, we have our Tour Academy mastermind call.
Yep.
So
On Monday.
on Mondays, twice a month. So let's talk about, are you profitable?
It's the new year, new us, and we just looked over our financials from 2019. Yes, we did get sweet medals. But here's where I think a lot of agents go way off the rails. Because one of the things that I have the privilege of doing now is not only working with a whole ton of awesome people and really being able to see people bloom and pour into them and watch their careers grow and all that type of stuff, which I love. I have the downside of that as well to sort of analyze all the crazy financial ideas they have about where we should be spending our money as well, right? And like there's just so much that goes into that. I just feel like it's such a nuanced and completely different skill set than running a real estate business. Then it's a different skill set than selling real estate. To be able to do it profitably is a whole different animal. And I feel like a lot of us fall short in that department where even when we start to scale, even when we start to grow, even when we start to sell a lot of houses, if we were really honest about our P&L, if we even have a P&L, that's number one. A lot of us, if I asked you to pull up your financials from 2019, you'd be like, well, I kind of wrote it down on this notebook. Like, we don't keep really good financial records in the first place. And two, if we really analyzed our ROI on everything that we're spending, man, do I think we're bleeding a lot of money a lot of times. I think we a lot of us have shiny toy syndrome, which is part of it. But I just don't think in general real estate agents keep good enough track of the expenses in their business.
Well, and they don't hold their lead gen. Look, the shiny toy thing is there, but they go off a hopium on their lead gen or on their CRM or whatever their assistant, right? And it's a way, like it's burning them and bleeding them.
Yes.
And it's only causing you to work harder.
Sure.
Right? Because what does it do? You start bleeding cash. It's taking that out of your own pocket.
Yep.
Right? That hurts. That affects you, your family, right? It probably affects your mindset.
Yep.
For sure it does. More than likely, you're like, this doesn't work. And then you go out of business.
Well, it's no fun because here's the thing. When your business scales, you get busier. And it's no fun to be busier and making less money.
Yeah.
Or the same money.
And look, it's a tough conversation. I mean, I remember having conversations with my brother when we would go over our P&Ls, and we have someone that does it now. Like they constantly do our monthly books, and even Austin today is like, look, we spend like some of our spend is ridiculous, and some of it's necessary, and some of it we can like, all right, let's cut back.
Yeah.
And we work on that. Like I've not been shy on the show to say, look, I shop website CRM systems,
Yeah.
right? Or I try to get them down in cost.
Morris Claiborne, thank you. Derek says you're welcome.
A 4.
You got a 4. I told you he's a Cowboys DB.
But do you think he runs his monthly P&L really well, though?
I think he does a shit job at it. I just really do. I think if you got a 4 on the Wonderlic, and I don't even where's he at now? Where's Mo Claiborne?
Oh, no.
I want to say
I don't think he's in the league anymore.
Is he not in the league
I don't
anymore?
think so.
No,
That's
he's
the
on
life
he's
of a
on
DV.
somebody's.
That's
I think Terrence
yeah,
Newman's still on somebody's roster. Morris Claiborne's on somebody's roster.
I don't know about that.
gotta be. He's
Terrence
gotta
Newman-
be at
Terrence
least
Newman's
a-
still not in the league.
I feel like
I bet he
DBs
was
just
until
last
a year ago.
forever, man.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
they'll
even know.
find a spot
Half our show
somewhere.
does not give a
But-
shit about this.
Yeah. But let's look at it from this standpoint. I was talking to an agent yesterday because I got a call from one of the hated lead gen companies.
Yeah.
The big one.
the big one.
They may have a Zestimate out there.
They
Right?
might.
know.
And I've never really spent money with them, right? And so this guy hit me up, and I listened to their presentation because I want to hear it and understand it. And had a great idea for recruiting to your team and building out like an e-team department, like an internet division, like the way car sales does.
Sure.
And I looked at it. They wanted me to spend $7,000 a month. That would generate about 75 leads.
Wait, what?
Yes.
That's $100 a lead almost.
Almost.
2015, my last year full of Realtor.com, I was paying $100 a lead.
It's
Yeah.
just banana sandwich. That's
why I
crazy.
got rid of them.
And so the thing that I look at from this,
Plays for the Chiefs. I'm sorry I'm interjecting so much.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the Mo Claiborne news.
yeah, it sounds like it.
Corey would know.
We
He's
need
got
to-
a ring?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a ring now. Yeah, as of last week.
So here's the thing: he has a ring. He probably definitely has a better P&L.
That's true.
Yeah,
When
'cause
he
can
when
sell
he
that
when he
ring.
joined Kansas City, he probably got somebody to do his books for him. I would think.
I would, yeah, that's probably included. That's what at least I would ask for.
I would think. So what's something that you have? You say you analyze your books all the time. What's something you've backed down, and how do you sort of measure and know like this is when we got to get this off the P&L?
I haven't done look. We're pretty strict on our lead gen costs anyway, so I haven't backed down. Other than I have our current. I beat up Boomtown.
Sure.
Right. I've reduced that cost.
Nice.
I've reduced like our Facebook manager cost and said like I don't believe what I'm paying is worth what's
Right.
being done. So I'm reducing management fees.
Right.
And sticking with them and determining, does this make sense? Am I getting a measured ROI
Yes.
from it? And so what I look at from there is the rest of it is stuff that you can't necessarily cut.
Right.
You don't want to cut staff if staff are important. And we run a lean staff. Now, we pay very well.
Sure.
But you got to remember, I also have an investment company that my people, they work both sides of the business, right? So, we're interchangeable on that. So I'm able to spread that cost out. If I was just running the Good Home team, there's no way I could be that bloated
Right.
on
salaries.
Salaries.
I think the big thing that like the way that I look at it is, look, everything that we have on our P&L either needs to be something that we couldn't run our business the way that we run it right now without, or if it's something that we're adding to it, especially lead generation wise, I need to have a timeline and I need to have a 4-to-1 return on our investment. So, like for example, Boomtown. I can't really measure the exact ROI we get from our CRM. I could just tell you that if it went away tomorrow, we would be in chaos.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When we're talking about, like, I'll say right now, we're going to implement probably a new direct mail campaign starting in March, which is something we've gone away from for a while. I think a lot of people have. That's why I want to do it again, because I like to be punk rock like that and do the stuff that people aren't doing. But I've got a 6-month timeline for it to be trending towards a 4-to-1 ROI. If it's not happening in 6 months, it's just a no-brainer. We just got to cut it, right? Maybe that's where a lot of agents kind of get off the rails. They get really excited about these ideas and they get really far down that rabbit hole. And they just don't know when to back it off. Or when to pour gasoline on the fire.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just I think for the individual agent too, they're trying to cover the gap between where they're at and what we're talking about, right? Like Nick's talking about bloated salaries. The average individual agent doesn't have any salaries.
Sure.
We're trying to figure out a way to close more business. What honestly the team allows us to do is I can just throw our agents more balls.
Yep.
Like it's not that the individual agent couldn't crush them too. My people are just seeing 100 balls a day, whereas most agents are seeing one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the at bats that really make a huge difference in the productivity over time.
But let me ask you this: like, I'm going to challenge your 4-to-1 return. You go direct mail, and you're getting, let's say it starts out like 8-to-1, and then it drops. But you keep it. You're consistently at a 3-to-1 return. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not getting rid of that.
No, you wouldn't. But here's the thing. Let me be super lame with you. Shoot for the moon and you'll land amongst the stars.
Oh,
right? Here's
yeah.
the thing. I don't want to go into it
Stop
blind.
the show. We're done. That's over. We can't.
Was that the ender,
Yeah,
Derek?
that was
That's
his
perfect.
billionaire idea.
Play the song. We're done. No, you need to go into it with the mindset of what
Yes.
you're looking for. Yeah, you're going to make decisions on whether or not it makes sense to actually shut something off because it's not giving you quite 4-to-1. But give yourself a metric by which to measure what you think your predicted outcome should be.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you. There needs to be, and I think a lot of people, especially, like I look at the Zillow type spends, and I'm like, all right, there's some people getting 2 to 3-to-1 returns on that, but is that a controlled expense? Because if you're at 2-to-1, or if you're at a 2 or 3-to-1 return right now, But then all of a sudden, they kick it up a notch,
That's
and
the
now you're
thing.
spending $150, $200 a lead. And I know there are people that their main business was, Matt, your main business at one time was built off of Realtor.com.
Bro, 2013
That
to
is not
2016.
controllable.
No.
Yeah.
It's why I had to dump it. We know agents who have massive teams that are dependent upon those types of businesses flourishing in order for their business to flourish. That's friggin' horrifying.
Dude, I hate that idea of tethering yourself to somebody else's creation, right? That idea of tethering yourself, especially when it's to the tune of thousands of dollars a month, tethering yourself to something someone else has created that in an instant tomorrow they could just change the format of.
Yep.
Right?
So, like, I look at it from a how long do we really hold something accountable for? Is 90 days enough? Because we go in direct mail, 90 days is truly not enough time to get a measured experience. You need to commit to 12 months and know that you're spending 10 to 15 grand, whatever that's going to be, and you allocate that budget. And it's like gambling, right? In the beginning, you're like, look, I'm going to put this all on black.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's the
Right?
thing is, this is something, and Brian will speak to this probably at a deeper level, but I'll say coming from the individual agent and never having an understanding my P&L, one of the things that I think is super important is understanding the lead gen model that you're dumping money into also. Because Brian and I have some stuff that we have to stay so nimble in it that sometimes we have to adjust it day to day, whereas a mail campaign, we wouldn't touch that for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? So some of it's understanding your lead generation source and what your intended return is.
And not be
gauge your
premature.
time.
I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you my fault. I'm premature in cutting business off when we were profitable.
Sure.
And then looking back and saying, I'll give you an example. I ran a farming campaign in 2 neighborhoods that we were profitable on.
Yep.
And we cut it because the ROI was dropping, and I'm like,
Right.
well, I want to drop this before I get into a break even or negative, thinking
Sure.
that it would have gone that direction. But in hindsight, I'm like, all right, I could have been I was on my way to being that dominant agent in those neighborhoods,
Yes.
right? And it's like that was premature. That was also taking advice from other people when really you gotta hold your business accountable, and not necessarily listen to even people like us.
Yep.
Right? I've made it. I can count on at least 2 on the top of my head of bad moves because I listened to some of those people that next level business firing all my OSAs. I had 8 of them, and I listened to somebody that I was trying to replicate their business, and then I found out they kind of change direction every 6 months.
Yeah.
And I just got a call. I just got a call today, or an email today. Sorry, I got an instant message about something that I don't know if we can talk about right now. I just got an email today from one of our old call center leads. Guess what? They've been in their system since 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Ready to sell their house.
See,
And it's like,
yeah.
that was my number 1 lead source at the time in 15 and 16.
Think of what that looked like if you had still been
bro,
running, dude.
Bro, like
Well, that's where you get into the conversation, because if we could take this a level deeper, right? Like if you get really nuanced with it, and this is going to be, this is tough especially for maybe agents that haven't been in the business more than a few years or anything like that. Like you can go a level deeper and start talking about the velocity of your money too, right? I'll give you an example. My last year farming a particular neighborhood, I have a neighborhood in Frisco that I cut off completely. My last year farming it was like $2,000 a month. And I think we took 6 listings that year for a total of we didn't sell once. It was like $40,000 in GCI, I think, on a $24,000 investment. That's not even a 2-to-1 ROI. Now, anybody out there be like, well, you made 16 grand. That's great, right? Like that's still a return on your investment, right? You can reduce your ROI as your spend increases and still make a ton of money. But the reality is when you talk about the velocity of our money, I was tying up $2,000 every single month in capital that I was looking for a short-term return on. But if I had put into something that would generate leads long-term, right, like Facebook leads, digital marketing, things that I know are going to take probably an 18-month nurturing cycle, but I can generate so much more of them, well, then we talk about your time horizon. What time horizon am I measuring my ROI over, right? Because if you're talking about something like farming, you're really only measuring year by year. If you're talking about something like digital marketing or something, you're kind of measuring for years at a time. And so there's this give and take of, when do I want that return on investment? What am I willing to get in the short term, and what am I willing to sacrifice for my long term gain? I think you've always got to have that lower cost, long-term investment in your business. For us, it's digital leads, right?
Yep.
It's Google pay-per-click and Facebook leads.
Mine's expireds.
Yeah, we're just and
it's
expires are good
right?
for us too.
Because
we're
here's the
stockpiling.
thing. So when
right?
you look at it, so to take what Jay Kinner and Michael Reese taught back when they had Kinner Reese coaching way back in the way, it was what's the low-hanging fruit? Let's go hit your low-hanging fruit first. Expires, for sale by owners. That's a cheaper lead source. Your sphere, right? Now you can't necessarily count on your sphere in the beginning or right away because that's it's hard to measure what's going to kick out from that. But for sale by owner expires, you should be with those two lead sources. You are able to it's a cheaper cost to acquire,
Sure.
right? Because either you're going to call them, text them, door knock them, mail them.
Yep.
Right? And then maybe you drop a Facebook campaign in there, which have you tested any of that stuff yet?
For expireds,
Yeah.
no, I haven't done Facebook campaigns for expireds yet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it might not be a bad idea though.
Yeah.
It's hard
Don't
to
you run
think
Facebook ads off email addresses, and those are so hit or miss too.
It's hit or
Yeah.
miss, but you can
automating it every day.
There's ways to upload it into Facebook
is a
with the
but.
addresses that if the addresses line up, there's ways to run
Facebook's
that.
smart enough that if you do names, cities, and then one piece of contact information, it'll usually find them.
Yeah.
But it's a butt to do it every single day.
That's the thing.
That's
Is
what your virtual
it's
system.
you
that-
need
you
to
get a
hammer.
virtual
No,
system
yeah,
to
for
do
sure.
that. Well,
100%.
Yeah. But we look at the low-hanging fruit. That's going to get your ROI right then and there,
Yeah.
right? And then the next move is going to be, all right, what's your medium-term game, right? That would be your Facebook leads,
Yeah.
maybe your Google pay-per-click style, because
Yeah.
that's going to be an 18 or less
Sure.
nurtures, and then your longer term, which would be farming, and of course your sphere. So hitting those. So kind of looking at that, and let's play in that ballpark realm. That's if you hit all those, then you're golden.
And here's the thing: we're talking just about lead generation right now. When you're really looking at your P&L, like the lead generation aspect of your P&L is the hardest conversation to have.
Yeah.
Because it's the most nuanced. It's the hardest to measure. When we get down to the nitty gritty, though, there's a lot of stuff in our business. I should say, in our business, I know because I cut stuff all the time. I'm like a maniac, just slashing my way through the
Has been for like the
whatever,
past 60 days.
Like that's just what I do at the beginning of every month. I'm like, don't need this, don't need this. Like I'm just going into the other office, taking people's chairs and throwing them out the window. I'm like, don't need it.
You can stand.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of tangible stuff I think that we usually don't need, right? Like I'll be 100% honest with you. We're using stuff right now that we've cut, or I said we're not using stuff right now, but we were using that we've cut. That was like, dude, I'll be honest, we had like a phone system that I just never looked at a cheaper alternative. That saved us $200 every month.
What were you
That I
using
just-
before?
I'm not going to start calling out company names on here. You're trying to draw me off sides. I'm not going to say
Well, I
one
wanna
company
know
was
because
too expensive that we downgraded to, but it wasn't even a downgrade.
Was
We
it
just-
like did it end in a central?
the one that we got rid of started with a J. Central was not involved at all. The one that we use now ends with a rail.
I think I could call them.
Yes, you
Yeah.
might be able to call them the
Yeah.
rail company.
We don't have an affiliate for them yet.
But it's a better alternative. It costs a fraction of what we were spending before, and
The tracking's supposedly better in that too.
it's better. And here's the deal: we just never thought about it.
And here's the thing is, it's now attached to a lead generation source that we were completely missing on.
Yes.
When we talk about the fact that our sign calls had just been kind of just relying upon each individual agent picking up their phone.
Oh, really?
Right? Like,
oh,
yes,
so
dude.
we've always had that.
So
track.
our,
sign
our
rate?
sign
Yeah.
calls were going
Yeah.
into the abyss of realtor
We're
responsibility.
not using
right?
we're not using call
Something.
rail,
right.
but we are using it. We use a vanity number that tracks all that
Yeah.
as well, right? So we have a vanity number with that on the sign, and then we have call fire, which is our 1-800 number on top.
Okay.
That tracks all that, and then it also we can build out our own texting campaigns or text for more information. We can build all that out
Sure.
within it. So.
It's just little things like that, right? It's just little things. It's just all the little. And here's the thing. It's just like our clients. When our clients move after like 15 years, when you go list somebody's house, they've been there forever. Like every time, mark it down in pen, they'll make some sort of comment throughout the transaction process about like, whoa, didn't really realize we had this much stuff until we started moving it.
Every
It's the
time.
same thing, dude. If you've been in this business for long enough and you look at your P&L every month, there's going to be some stuff you don't even recognize, right? You're just like, what the fuck am I paying $30 a month for this for, right? Like for us, it was just like we had another, we used Boomtown and then a couple of other things. And we had this whole other thing that we were paying for forever that was just a landing page source. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just used to use it for other stuff. Like, never got rid of it. Like, ever. Like, I've been paying.
It's like a gym membership.
Yeah, I've been paying $39.99 a month for the past 3 years for some shit that I don't even remember the login to. But it's there.
That's the worst part.
Every month, you know what I mean? And I think part of it is just that awareness, just having a good look at it every month. It's the same with people in their personal financials, right?
Yep.
I have a reminder that goes off every single month on the 1st to do my personal financial statement. I'll be honest with you, when we have a bad month, I usually push that shit back about a week.
Of course.
I just don't want to do it, right? But I think most people don't do that at all, right?
Yeah.
Sit down and really, like, have a grip on what you're making, what your net worth is at any given time. We don't know what our businesses are worth, like, ever usually.
Yeah, and look, we don't put a net worth on the Good Home team. I'm going to tell you that right now.
It's priceless.
Yes. But because at the end of the day, like, really, Austin's like, if I were to die, Austin's like,
It's worthless.
Austin's like, I'm not continuing this shit, right? But the main thing from that is I mean, we do personal financial statements.
Sure.
In fact, Austin is on my ass. I got to send him a bank account statement. So Heather, you're watching right now. Can you send him our bank account statement, please?
She just tuned in. Heather Gershon is watching.
And so we do we have to do our PFS, the personal financial statements, to send into like all the banks
Sure.
that we're doing our developments on. But most people don't do that.
No, most
Right.
people wouldn't even know where to start, and that's not a knock on anybody. I was like that until my mid-20s, where I just had no, like, money would just come into my bank,
But it's easy.
and then it would leave.
Google it.
And then
Google a personal financial statement.
I'll just tell you right now, I use the one that David Osborne promotes in his book,
Yeah.
Wealth Can't Wait, or Miracle Morning Millionaires. Can't remember one of those.
Yeah.
He talks about a person, and I just went to the back of the book, went to the link, and now I've been using that for like 5 years.
Yeah. So you can do that, but holding this, like, where I have struggled with is holding accountable to the Legion, because I see the long-term potential in a lot of this, right? A lot of our long-term Legion, we're not cutting Vulcan 7 because
No.
that's our expires. We make money off that. So I'm not cutting that, right? But I struggle with having 12 Mojo accounts.
Jeez.
Where I've scaled back and forth on that, man, and I struggle with that. Like,
No, it's one of
there's no
those-
discounted option for multiple. Like, it's bullshit.
It's when you're running a team to, like, we talk about this sometimes too. Like, there are times where we love all our business partners so much. We're so freaking blessed to have such a phenomenal team. And we just, like, honestly, we don't even deserve it. But there are times where we're just like having a bad day, and we're like, just shut everything off, right? Like,
Yeah.
nobody deserves anything. It's ridiculous, right? And there's days that it's just amazing too. So, like, when you're talking about the Mojo thing and stuff like that, like, it's so much easier to justify those things when they're working than
Or
the
when they're
second.
not even working, just
Second time,
use
you-
them.
yeah, or when
Here's
you
the thing,
use them.
just
Yeah.
use
The
Just
second you
use
have that
them.
cold spell where, like, a lot of people aren't showing up to the office regularly, and they're not using the dialers, this and that, and you're just like, well, if I shut them off, then here's the thing: if you shut them off, then you can't be riding them to use them all the time.
That's the thing.
So it's like that catch-22 where you're like, do I take resources away? Because if I take resources away, then they can also say, like, well, you're not giving me any resources. So it's like that balancing act.
You know
right?
what I've tested? I've turned them off.
Yeah, to see if
So
anybody will
long
notice.
somebody.
Some of them have gone months. But then that's also on me because I didn't call them out for it
Right.
from a leadership side.
just let 'em
so
go.
I'm conflicted here from that, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I should be saying something right now, but I'm just going to do a little passive aggressive test. And then I'm like, dude, I shut that off months ago,
Yeah.
and you're just now bringing that up. So obviously, it's not that great of a tool
Sure.
that you're using in your business.
Yeah.
And I think every agent's just different with what they can interact with inside your business too. Part of I think once you reach a certain critical mass when it comes to agents is you have to have all these different lead gen sources and not tools for every individual agent, but you do have to have stuff that appeals to more than just the people who cold call, right? And I think
Sure.
that is probably maybe where Nick, because his business is so much more seasoned than ours, is that he has been able to recruit to his model. Like Nick's recruiting to a 3-4.
Yeah.
Right, like he's getting people who know exactly what he wants them to do. Right,
Yep.
like so you can get a little bit more lean on systems. Whereas when you have cold call people, and then you have relationship people, and then some people who and they all viably get business.
Yep.
Right, you have to figure out some way to feed all those people as well.
And that's like more like a 4-3.
Yeah, it's like a
Mo
4-3.
Claiborne in there at safety, bringing up the rear.
Unreal.
No, you're 100% right. I think it becomes exponentially complicated to really get a handle on those things when you're in business with so many. Here's the other thing, like what we've started to sort of figure out in our, I shouldn't say figure out, what we started to implement in our business now, which I think is probably going to help us start to measure our ROI a little more accurately in the future, is like we are fortunate enough to kind of, I feel like we're starting to reveal a lot of people's like just niches in our business too. Niches, whatever.
I struggled with this earlier today.
We do, yeah, we had a whole thing about it. But like we have like 3 or 4 people on the team, like this is the dude that does this really well.
Yeah.
And so we pour into him or her about this. And then we can measure this specifically because it's going to that person, right? We have this person who really crushes it with this particular lead type, or we have this person who really does a great job with this particular segment of people or whatever, right? And like I think we're like able to boil that down a little bit. We can really pour into those a little bit more and have a more accurate return. But it's the same like that's the argument, right? With the Mojo and stuff, you're giving it to everybody and then expecting everybody to use it equally and then measure the return on investment.
No, I don't even want it
there.
equally. I want it.
But just from like a measuring
yes,
standpoint.
Yes, I want it to be used whether if you're gonna go down your sphere path, then let's load them in and let's invite them to
On
like
dialers
our
for
client
sure.
events, right? Do that,
Right.
Or let's do some. If you're gonna be our open house agents, let's go ahead and load it up in the Mojo dialer and just invite everyone to that. So there's definitely. We do have, from a large team perspective, you have that kind of mashed potato where you're trying to just force feed it to everyone, where when you're an individual, look, you can get it more tailored, right? And that's perfect. But from a scalability, like you're going to start losing out.
Well, I think the thing as an individual agent too is it goes back to at bats. You don't get to adjust as quickly. It takes you longer to find out maybe a lead generation source isn't working because you don't have people to bounce ideas off of. There's just all these other things that like when you talk about Brian, sure, maybe you're a lot more lean as an individual agent, but are you just crazy slow compared to what we're able to do from an implementation process, right?
Yes. Yeah,
and we'll just spend some money just running over some shit.
That's part of it, right? You do get a little bit more like latitude.
Certainly.
Yeah. Well, you say faster to implement. It's faster to implement, but you're also the larger you get, it's also slower to implement.
Sure.
Because what you don't want to do is like you don't want to get your 20 team members like, guess what? We're doing this. We start to, but actually didn't work. We're not going to do it. So it's kind of doing the trickle down effect. Like, hey, Matt, I want you to test this out. Let's just keep it, between us right now.
Right.
When we start working on it, it's working. Let's go ahead and release it. We'll go ahead and release it out in phases. That's a little bit of a better option. I'm a slower person to implement. Just like again, beat people down with our CRM, like the website talk, because I don't want to make a change to make a change. Right? I'm not making a change just to save a buck and go to something that's not as equal or superior product.
I think those words you use are important too, because I don't think you're slow to implement. I think change. Like you're slow to take a system that is currently working and running like a well-oiled machine that's really important to your business and change it out for something else.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
And I think what the three of us do is we implement sometimes without really thinking about it. That might be the exact opposite.
Sometimes.
But I think it is hard it's much harder to slow down the Titanic, right? There's a reason these big, huge companies don't change their software out. It's impossible to get all these people on board with new stuff. So they just continue running like Microsoft 97.
And do you want to train them? Like it's hard. It's not
sure,
fun.
And it's expensive.
It's expensive. It's downtime. It's it's a beating. Right, but let's try to talk to the individual agent, right? So, individual to 1 to 3 agents. What are you looking at from again an ROI standpoint? Are you what are you attacking first? Because again, if we're just looking at P&Ls and running a profitable business, right? We could sum this up and end the show right now. Just make more than you spent.
Sure.
Make more than you spend, right? If we're talking about, like, I'll tell you the biggest things that I sort of struggled with when I was that 1 to 3 agent, because I was running a team of 3 agents for a good amount of time. I was not leading with revenue. I was buying everything that I thought, like I wanted to run the business the size of the business that we're fortunate enough to have now. And I thought if I spent my way there, it would happen, right? Like I had the premium version of everything. I had all these ideas that I thought would work for my style of lead generation, my style of just everything. And I thought that I could train them around working it the same way and stuff. Like, I think having that, like if you're 1 to 3 agents or whatever, like that's actually a really great time to like find out what your business is going to be about, because that's the thing that you lose when your business starts to grow. Like our business right now is not about what me and Matt are good at. It's about what the 21 people in our organization do collectively really well as a whole, and what each individual does really well as an individual, right? Like Matt and I don't just get to sit in our office and think up crazy shit that's going to work because him and I think it's a good idea, right? But I think that you really get that opportunity when you're in that growth phase in the beginning, right? Where you're like, You can buy the shiny toys. You can get the best version of everything. You can go and go out and get that next gadget or widget or whatever you think that's going to make your business easier or whatever. But like, I would say that's the time to really bootstrap it. Just like be unbelievably like just crazy accountable with every dollar in almost a maniacal fashion, because you haven't even really figured out what your business is about yet, right? Like what the people that are eventually going to be your partners in business are about, right? And so you don't want to build this, you don't want to create the architecture for something that doesn't exist yet, right? Like the architecture is going to reveal itself over time. And I think that you can really afford yourself a lot more opportunity in the future if you don't try to create your business just out of dollars and cents in the beginning and then try to find the right people to fit into that model.
So let's go into, all right, you're selling houses. You're not holding yourself accountable to a P&L right now. You're afraid to go down that path, but you know, look, there's a reason why people don't do P&Ls because they don't want to look at it.
Yep.
Right? They see money coming in.
Yeah.
You know, they see money going out, but they forget about the money going out because they remember the money coming in. So they think that they're padded. Right? You know, it's kind of like, oh, I've got 10 contracts closing, but they didn't realize that, you know, they forgot that 2 of them fell out. You know, 1 they did a discounted commission on, right? And so from, you know, you guys have the benefit of being coached through the Hergenrother group from that, right? Would you have, if you weren't with them, where would you have gone from to work on getting your P&Ls in order?
We probably do the same thing. I mean, we use CTE to get our P&Ls in order, but like the way that we would do it, the way that I still think that we do it, and the way that I would recommend anybody do it is Matt and I look at our P&L a little bit differently because it also speaks to our personal lives and how much money we make. What I do, with the P&L, at the end of every month or beginning of the next month, when I go through the P&L and I figure out what we need to continue to spend, where we need to increase our budget, where we need to decrease our budget, is I look at our GCI, right? I look at what we were giving to taxes after expenses, right? I look at what I am making personally, and then I look at what I am setting aside to invest and what I'm actually taking home to live my life right now. And then I decide what adjustments I probably need to make based on that, right? And then I look at every individual line item, and I just had kind of a fierce conversation with myself. How does every single one of these line items speak to the numbers that I just talked about, right? How does every single one of these line items speak to our GCI, and then eventually speak to what I am putting in my pocket right now and what I am putting in my pocket for the future, right? And then I go and I just make decisions, right? I'll be 100% honest. Yesterday. We did another invite for one of our upcoming live events. And we have a mechanism in place where that goes out a whole bunch of different ways. One of them is through a specific MailChimp account that has just people in that MailChimp account that have interacted with our stuff in the past, right? The reality is, like, we hit people with so many different things through this podcast, through Tour Academy, through Herd Group, through all the different stuff that we do, that I realized, like, every single person that we're hitting for our invites for our live events that are coming up is probably already in another CRM somewhere that we have, or some sort of system that we have somewhere that I could be using. We were spending $318 a month on a MailChimp account that only had duplicate information from people that were in other stuff already. And look, it's going to take, I'll just be honest, it's going to take my VA a little bit more work to get all the invites out because these people are kind of scattered about. But it was just a nonsense sort of expense. And I had that hard conversation
By the way, I'm not
with
on that invite list.
You're not.
No.
We'll get you on there.
Yeah.
Do you consent to our marketing emails?
I will.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
I do.
I gotta ask
yes.
that. And then make sure you ask
I
that
got
now.
an email. I got a forwarded email by, hey, did you get invited to this? I'm like, no, I didn't, but I'll find out why.
Sorry about that. But yeah,
Look, I want to sing.
It was just one of those things where, that one.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be a blast. You got to come. But yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, I had blinders on it. And you're going to have blinders on for some stuff that just slips through the cracks. But when I was, I had that kind of conversation with myself, this time it seemed to come to the forefront where I was just like, dude, we got Kajabi. We got a bunch of other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
why do I need this account that's costing us over $300 a month for no reason when everybody else is stored somewhere else, right? And like, part of it is just that awareness, is that habitual looking at that stuff all the time, right? Like, it's not that people make stupid decisions with their money. It's that people don't make any decisions with their money.
By
'Cause
the
they just
way,
don't look at it.
By the way, we run in the red running this podcast. So we lose money on this. It is a promotion for us as well.
Call this a
Yeah.
loss
and,
leader.
And loss leader, right? But if you want to help us out a little bit, go over to touracademy.com/take10. Go watch our webinar on how we take 10 plus listings every single month. Took 135 to 137. I'll get you the exact number later. It's in my text message. Last year in 2019, year to date, it's February 12th. We've taken 26 listings and learn our lead gen strategies, learn our tactics, learn how we're getting in front of people to get them to say, yes, we want to sell our house with you, right? touracademy.com/take10. And then eventually we're going to have our offer for the virtual assistant, because that thing is blowing up.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, like I posted
Sure.
that in the group. There are people that have messaged me and said, thank you for putting that on.
It's the hardest piece of leverage to really get right.
And Justin has that shit nailed down.
That's
right?
exciting, man.
He's
Dude,
running his
for
entire business
real.
on virtual assistants. I'm loving it. I'm in all of it. Like Elizabeth Austin is building out her virtual
How many do you guys
assistant.
have?
We have technically one who's been with us since 2010 or 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we just got one for Elizabeth Austin.
Yep.
That's only dedicated to support her business. And Justin has been amazing. So if you're interested in that, to learn more about our virtual assistant, we do have a webinar replay on that. I know that we can put that in the comments down below, as well as it's in our real estate group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. It is definitely worth watching and signing up for.
Faux show. I'm so sorry. I'm going to let you guys down today. Episode 50. This is like an
Episode-
anniversary.
Here's the thing: is I
episode
liked
too.
that it doesn't have to be every episode.
I don't
But
want
it's
it. I
on,
don't want to
dude.
force
He's letting
it.
you down on your
You
birthday.
can't force
I
it.
don't
I,
want
look,
it.
I can deal with that.
Worst birthday ever.
Here's
I'm going to tell you
it is-
something. Derek, play it. Because here's what's going to happen. We got our new producer. Our new producer for our other stuff, Casey, in the studio right
And
now.
now, Brian
Oh, yeah.
Forge,
Is it- well, it's not on the
billionaire
TV.
movie something.
Yeah. I was talking about it half the time. It's not playing on the big TV radio, so I didn't hear it at first. I don't have a billionaire idea. But we're having so much fun with Macy, our new hire that we have in our business, and she's sitting in here taking pictures and video of us today. That
You might be able to see her right
yeah, if you look,
out there. Can you see her reflection waving in the window? Nice.
how has nobody gotten in a wreck yet? That dude right there was so close, man. That almost happened right there. Man, I can't wait.
around and just see her right.
Yeah, that-
I hope no one gets hurt, Derek. But man, can I not wait for that to happen? I hope there's an explosion. Yeah, I want it to be a safe one. But man, it'd be cool. I'm gonna do a new funny thing that Macy does every week or something. I'll do movie reviews and billionaires ideas too. I just
We're
didn't
using
have
the
one
Macy
today.
bit for all this
We're
other
using the
crap.
Macy bit for something else. We don't have a taco video coming up for a couple days. Macy told me today that if you put chapstick on the bottom of your chin like this, that you won't taste spicy food.
It won't be as spicy.
And she was like dead serious about it.
I
was
wanna know if it
I
works with,
was
like, that
I
raspberry
was like,
shit.
no, Macy, I don't think that's true. She was like, bet money. She was like dead serious about it. So comment below if you've tried that, and I want to get some sort of kind of like survey on whether or not that's true. It's just something that happened to be on my mind because I think it's bananas.
Try Vicks on your
She
feet, too.
seemed very convinced that it was a real thing.
My mom used to do that to us.
Vicks?
Yeah.
Heather-
Oh, I've
Heather-
done that to
Vicks
Luke
on
so
what?
many times.
On your feet.
On the bottom of your feet.
What does Vicks do on your feet?
When you're a
Supposed to
kid.
be like when you're not feeling well and you got a cough or whatever. If you put
When your
Vicks,
feet aren't feeling well?
yeah, when your feet aren't feeling well,
your whole self isn't feeling.
You put Vicks on your feet, and you put socks on, and supposedly makes it
Bananas.
better.
That doesn't work. Don't you
The-
nod.
the
man.
soul-
Makes
the
the
soles
She
of your
believes
feet.
she's like a voodoo person. She believes in all this stuff.
The soles of your feet are like a very absorbent part of your body. I imagine it works. If I put Vicks on my chest and it does something.
How
I
are your
put
feet
Vicks
any
inside
more
my
absorbent
nostrils.
than any other part of your body?
I don't know, man.
I like it inside my nostrils.
If that
It
by
burns
that
like a mother,
logic, you
but-
could
put
just
it in
eat
there?
the Vicks.
Oh yeah, I love it. I would bathe in Vicks. I love the smell of Vicks.
Oh, I hate that.
I don't hate the smell of it.
No, I love it.
I hate what it does to my nostrils. It feels so opened.
Brian's like, I
love
do all
it.
this breathing
I love it.
bullshit. It's ridiculous.
like
Episode
that.
50.
Round it out just by going straight off the rails, I guess.
Yeah, as usual.
Call rail.
I'm excited.
Right
I'm
off
excited
the
to go out
call
to dinner
rails.
with you clowns tonight.
Yeah.
It's Matt's birthday. We're going to dinner. And then
Yay,
maybe shenanigans.
A celebration of all things great today.
We're just gonna try the tip tonight.
We're gonna try tip it.
We will be out in the Frisco area, so hit us up if you want to try and meet up.
You want to try Matt's tip?
Only if you're cool.
Only if you're cool, though.
Derek, get us the hell out of here.
Take us out.